And we're live. What's going on, everybody? It is Andrew Esquire here with an impromptu late night, actually super late here in Bangkok. It's 11:07 p.m. Indochina time. But guess what? It's always a good time for the legal mindset. Hope you guys are doing well. This is super impromptu, so I appreciate all you guys making it late at night here to the chat. Good to see everybody in the chat today. Let me give a special shout out to all those that made it. Torgo, who says Leighton Cecil. Chell, what's going on? Aaron, Danielle, James S. Good to see you. Muffin Rando, Phone Funk. Let's see, I think I got Danielle before. Nikki, good to see you as well. And all those others who are joining the chat. Let's see, Mike L, I got you as well. Appreciate y'all. American Dreamer, Ice Cold Wolf, good to see you guys as well. Some OG homies in the chat today. For sure. So we're going to let it warm up. I'll send this thing out on Twitter. I'll blast this thing out on Twitter. It's not going to be like an all-nighter or anything like that. I just wanted to cover, because I saw the news drop here about the Trump insurrection kind of indictment that's coming down the pike. So I wanted to kind of predict and see what's going to come as part of that, some of the charges, the allegations. There was a model memorandum, a actual model prosecution memorandum that was dropped literally days ago. So these people, these deranged, Trump deranged syndrome lunatics, dropped a over 200-page legal memorandum, a model memorandum, a couple days ago, and all of a sudden we have these indictments. And I have not seen a single other lawyer on YouTube cover the model memorandum or what was said in it or kind of the arguments. We're not going to go through all 200 pages, although I may pick through and come up with some hilarious moments, but there's a summary of that we're going to go through, which I think is going to be the basis for their prosecution of Trump. So anybody who wants to see what that's going to look like, who wants to predict what it's going to look like, we're going to talk about that here today on the Legal Mindset. And of course, this is Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own damn judge. Don't rely on somebody else. Rely on yourself. And of course, because this is the Legal Mindset, you know we're going to be demonetized. So I appreciate you guys smashing the like button, sending this information out here, sharing it out there, and getting it going for everybody. So I'm going to put this out on Twitter. So just go talking from. So got that out there on Twitter. So everybody got it. And good to see all those people checking here in the chat. No, we will not be doing a 24-hour stream. Hell no. Hell no. What do I look like, Nick Rekieta? Come on. We don't do that here. Nake, good to see you, brother. Onawal and some of the other OGs. Brandon, the anime guy, checking in here today. So first of all, let's do a little housekeeping as we wait for people to kind of pile in and kind of see this on all the social media platforms. What I wanted to start with is a little bit about what I am going to be doing the next couple weeks. Torgo says, get that grift. Obviously. Well, I'm going to have some topics I'm going to cover. I'm actually going to be covering a couple I'm going to put out here. I'll just tell you one of them. I'll be doing a little bit about the Rammstein Me Too. I'm going to be working with Colonel Kurtz on that. I'm doing an interview with her within the next 24 hours or so on that. So look forward to that video this week. And also, let's just put this up here. There's some things coming down the pike, some trials coming down the pike. And I want to just show you guys what's coming. So obviously, we've got Shabusiness, right? And I just want to say, I know that both Nick and Vices are going to do Shabusiness. So that is too many guys for Shabusiness. I mean, even crazy Shabusiness. Two lawyers, one Shabusiness, it's too much. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the Boone case, because allegedly the Boone case is coming up in July. So Sarah Boone, the suitcase murderer, there she is in her deranged self. That's coming up. So I would prefer to cover Boone, because of the thought crimes, that's up there. And she's going to go with battered wife syndrome on that, go with some sort of essentially emotional self-defense syndrome on that, battered spouse syndrome. And I think that sort of defense is bullshit. So for me, the Sarah Boone case, particularly when she activated the battered spouse argument in Florida, yeah, we're not having that bullshit. So I want to focus on that one if I'm going to focus on that one. Now, am I going to cover the entire trial all day, every day? No, not necessarily. But I will be covering it and at least be doing the highlights of it, probably routinely, and then at least catch the opening arguments, closing arguments, and maybe the more interesting parts of it. But good to see everybody checking in here today. But yeah, appreciate that, Torgo, as well. You the man. You the man. We always get in that grift on legal mindset. Jason, Jason J, who is a member for a month of the RPG, said, hey, let the Civil War begin. Yes. Definitely, that's what you call it when a country tears itself apart. Appreciate that, Jason, very, very much. And appreciate all you guys with the members chats. I do try to get them behind the scenes and then paste them into the chat so I can show them just like that. So it's kind of ghetto, but your boy gets it done. Even if it's kind of hood, I get it done. Let's see what we got here. Hunch says, Cain Velasquez trial, I will look into it. If nobody else is covering it and it's out there, maybe I'll do that one. That could be interesting. I look for ones that are going to be interesting to me, because if they're not interesting to me, then I'm not going to be able to have that fortitude. I'm not going to be able to get it up for that trial. But I think that Sarah Boone will be good enough for me to get it up. Not for Sarah Boone, but for the amount of bullshit that's going to go down that trial. I think it'll be enough. Also, shout out to my girl, Radix Verum, ring in the chat. Actually, Radix Christina, if you want, you know what? I have not streamed with you in a while, and, Senpai notices you. So I will send you something on the Twatters if you want to jump in maybe in 30 minutes. Because I know that you've done a lot of work on the J6 stuff, so you might have something to say about that. So essentially a link, don't come in now, come in 30 minutes if you want to come in. Just throwing that out there. It's been a while though, girl. Good to see you. Leprechaun Gold with a $50 Shiva super sticker. Appreciate you very much and appreciate your support of this channel. Guys, you supporting this channel is what allows me to do this on a day-to-day basis and bringing the latest in legal news every single day. So really appreciate y'all and appreciate your support of this channel. Brandon says, my legal senpai, but my kohai in age. Do not weeb me out here. Do not weeb me out. And shout out to everybody who's over here on locals. Just so you guys know, I am monitoring the locals. We've got some folks over here in the locals live chat, and I'll be trying to answer anything that comes up there in the locals live chat. Obviously, if you send me a tip over there, I will read it out here live and show that comment. So that being said, like I said, Sarah Boone on the menu. And obviously, if Trump goes to trial for insurrection charges, your boy's gonna be covering it. Your boy's gonna be covering it. All right, before we get into this, it's been a while, and one thing I'm glad about, I now live in Thailand. If you guys don't know, I relocated from Korea to Thailand, and I live in a Japanese district, so I'm really cool. I get a lot of cool Japanese stuff, and I get a lot of cool Japanese alcohol that we actually don't have, and we didn't have in Korea. Korea they focus on Korean stuff. It's a Korean thing. But they have this really cool pre-mix highball that I'm going to try out today on the stream. Got to definitely crack a drink while we go through this. So cheers to you guys, and cheers to the insanity that is going to come, because you know that the left is going to spin this, the Democrats are going to spin this, they're going to go crazy with this, and they're going to run with this narrative. So it's important that you guys get the best information and the factual information right away in terms of, hey, what's a better charge, what's a not better charge, what do they have against him that's going to look better versus worse. So anyways, cheers to you guys. And this is the only time, and the only place, the only channel you're going to get people cracking a drink on the other side of the world to talk to you about insurrection. It's a crazy world we live in, guys. Not a strong zero. It's a highball. It's actually a highball. Very good. Very good, though. All right. So let's get into this Trump stuff here right away. So the person who actually, I think I got this one first from ALX, but I think I've seen this other places, but was a statement by Donald J. Trump, by the Trumpiest Maximus. So we're going to read through this one in its entirety. I'm going to read it. Sorry, I know, guys, this is in font size 0, so I'll read through it with you guys. But this is the key in from Trump that allows us to know that this is not bullshit. This is actually happening. The Democrats have been hoping have been hoping this would happen for a long time. They've been sitting around in their Trump derangement, fapping room, waiting for this to happen, and it's finally happened. So here, let me go read this. A statement by Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of these United States. Wow, on Sunday night, while I was with my family, having just arrived from the Turning Point event in Florida, where I won the strong poll against all other Republican candidates with 85%, and with all polls showing me leading the Republican primary by very substantial numbers, almost everyone predicting that I will be the Republican nominee for president. And as I am leading Democrat Joe Biden in the polls by a lot, horrifying news for our country was given to me by my attorneys. Deranged Jack Smith, the prosecutor with Biden's DOJ, sent the letter. Again, it was Sunday night, stating that I am the target of January 6th grand jury investigation, giving me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which always means an arrest and indictment. So now Joe Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland, who I turned down for, as Supreme Court, together with Joe Biden's Department of Injustice, I like that one, Department of Injustice, has effectively issued a third indictment and arrest of Joe Biden's number one political opponent, who is dominating him in the race for presidency. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before or even close. That is true. This amount of prosecution of a political candidate has never happened before at this point in the race. They illegally spied on my campaign, attacked me with fake dossier that was funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign of the DNC, impeached me twice, I won. They failed on the Mueller witch hunt, no collusion. They failed on Russia hoax, the 51 intelligence agents fraud, the FBI Twitter files, the DOJ Facebook censorship, and every other scam imaginable. But on top of that, they have now indicted me 3 times. The DOJ staff and runs the DA's office in Manhattan, with a probable fourth coming from Atlanta, where the DOJ are in strict and possible legal coordination with a district attorney whose record on murder and other violent crime is abysmal. This witch hunt is all about election interference and a complete and total political weaponization of law enforcement. It is a very sad and dark period for our nation. That is from the Trumpiest Maximus that is pretty much confirming that he is going to be indicted here. Yeah. And glad to see people pouring in on locals, pouring in on YouTube. Appreciate all y'all checking in. So yeah, of course the DOJ has been weaponized, right? This is absolutely something we've known for a while. We've seen this. These prosecutors are absolutely 100% in the tank for a certain political persuasion. This has just been something that's been kind of confirmed. And once I think Alan Bragg opened the door, really, particularly with the timing of his charges, I think the door's open just to go in on Trump. So what they are trying to do is a standard prosecution tactic. One of the biggest standard prosecution tactics is to try to hit you with a bunch of charges and see if one sticks. So they're trying to see, hey, if we throw a bunch of charges at Trump, can we get one of them to stick? Can people just say, okay, we're just going to allow one of them to stick? And they're hoping that once they get one of them to stick, there's 2 things. They can call him a criminal, and on top of that, they can go after the office, because one of the things they're going after, and let me just get to one of the key codes here, and we're going to get to the basis behind this, but it's this Insurrection Act language. I'm using the Cornell language, but what they're trying to get behind, this 18 USC 2383 for rebellion or insurrection, whoever incites, assists, engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the letters thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. Of course, they have never put this to the test. Does this bind a president, right? Can the U.S. code bind the president absent pretty much a change to the Constitution, absent changing the Constitution to change how the president is elected, the criteria for president? So absent a constitutional amendment, can Congress, through its criminal code, disqualify a president? I don't think so. And I've put on the record, I'm not going to hide the ball here, guys. I mean, some people will like sit here and hide the ball. I don't think so. I don't think that this clause that says, oh, they're incapable of holding any office can bar a president. I think it could bar a mailman. I think it could, bar some sort of political appointee maybe, but not the president of these United States. I do not think that's something. And I think if this went to the Supreme Court, I think they would agree. I don't think they would say, oh, no, this is going to bar the president from sitting in office. Just don't think that's going to happen. But, however, the one thing you got to remember, too, is this all goes back to a time in which, and this is really important to know, this Insurrection Act stuff, the Rebellion Act, this goes back to the frickin' Civil War. This is July 17th, 1862. This is when this was approved by Congress. So literally, they were talking about, look at this. This is the punishment, the original punishment for this. Every person who shall commit a crime of treason and shall be adjudicated guilty shall suffer death, and all of his slaves shall be declared free, or at the discretion of the court, he shall be imprisoned for not less than 5 years and fined not less than $10,000. And all of his slaves shall be declared and made free. And all of his property, real and personal, excluding slaves, because at that point slaves were still considered property, of which said person should be convicted, was owner at the time of said crime, any sale and conveyance to the contrary notwithstanding. So literally, this is a Civil War era crime. And these people are using Civil War era crimes and infractions to try to come after somebody for J6. And then look, I've said it once and I'll say it again. J6 is no Civil War. J6 was no Manassas. J6 was no Fort Sumter. Anybody who tries to make it into that is absolutely deranged and has frankly never seen real conflict in their life. We'll just put it that way. You know, listen, I'm living abroad here, and let's just put it this way. Abroad, there's real coups, okay? There's real violence, there's real coups, there's real government overthrows. J6 was not that. Was certainly not that, or not what was intended here in the purview of the statute. Eric C. says he's a member for 1 month here, which says the response to a coup is an insurrection. Yeah? Well, yeah, I guess it would be, right? So, like, if someone is throwing a coup and, like, they've taken over the government, if you were to fight back against that, then, yeah, that would probably be considered an insurrection. That would probably be considered an insurrection. So that sounds pretty accurate to me. Let me just see here. So YouTube seems to be acting a little bit weird. So just want to make sure, because I have already gone yellow. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So apparently they're already trying to cut off the stream this early in the process. So already, guys, make sure you guys are liking this. Make sure you guys smash the like button, because they're already trying to stop it this early in the process. So I'm going to put it over here since they're trying to stop me over here on StreamYard. It just happens, guys. It just happens. They try to do what they can to mess with me. Let's see. Yeah, they were not allowing us to post here for a second. It's really weird. So like they literally come in and try to block people in the chat. Isn't that weird? Is that really weird how that works, guys? Really weird. But anyways, thanks guys for sticking with it. The fact that YouTube is trying to censor this just shows and tries to limit me, just shows that this is factual information. It's the stuff that needs to be shared out. Why else would YouTube be trying to suppress a lawyer literally talking about the law behind this, literally giving legal analysis? Why did the chat just shut down? Yeah, and as it shut down, by the way, I checked behind the scenes, guys, that was exactly as they sent me yellow. So they now have demonetized they now have demonetized this, probably because I'm talking about the Insurrection Act. Probably because I said the naughty word. I said the word insurrection. They're mad about that. Yeah. It's just and it's funny how we see this live. Yeah, it probably got flagged immediately. You know, somebody came in, some weird spurg came in. You know how they are. You know how they are. You know how the Glowies and the Fed boys and the Alphabet boys are. They're on top of it. They don't want us talking about what they're going to do in their case. They don't want it. All right. So let's go on here and talk about the actual charges. So we're going to get right into what is going to be coming down the pipe. All right, so here we go. Here is this model prosecution memo. So let me show you this. Now, what is very weird to me is there are a level of people, there's people that are so deranged about Trump that they spend all day coming up with this LARP fantasy, prosecution memo. So they're out here in their free time. You know, these people, Norman Eisen, Noah Bookbinder, Donald Ayer, Joshua Stanton, Denia Perry, Deborah Perlin, and Kayvon Farchati. They're out here writing a 257, a little bit more than that actually, because that's an appendix. They wrote a 257-page model prosecution memo. So this was literally intended to be the model memo for prosecutors on the election interference charges. So this is likely what prosecutors are using. And the irony is this came out a couple days ago. Look at the top here. You guys can probably barely see it, but it says the model prosecution memo, July 2023. This is put out here by people that want him prosecuted now. And I guarantee the feds copy pasted from this. So this is their legal version. I like that phone fuck. Legal fan fiction. This is their legal fan fiction here. This is their legal, like, they're living vicariously, like, through these charges. For sure. All right. So let's get through what they're going to come after him for in terms of election interference, right? And where these guys were going. Because these guys and the charges that they brought up here seem to be exactly the same as what's going to be brought against him now, based on what Trump said. So listen, I'm going to read from this. This is me reading. This is not my thoughts. I'm just reading here. This model prosecution memo, Pros memo, assesses federal charges. Special counsel Jack Smith we now know it's no longer may, we now know it's will bring against former President Donald Trump for alleged interference in the 2020 election. The authors have decades of experience as federal prosecutors, criminal defense lawyers, and legal expertise. Oh, God, I'm taking a drink. Okay, guys, here's a drink. Cheers to all those lonely federal prosecutors, or those retired, those other people out there that have nothing better to do than to write their legal prosecution fanfic getting Trump. Cheers to that, guys. It's actually a very good highball. It's like a cola lemon blend. Cola lemon whiskey. It's actually very good. Shout out to the Japanese for making good canned alcohol. I will say, pretty good. Good job, Japanese. That being said, let's continue with this. So this is intended. They conclude that the evidence now meets the Department of Justice standards to commence a prosecution. We base that conclusion upon a stream of recent disclosures in court filings that have come on top of the filings of the House Select Committee to investigate J6. Once again, guys, make sure you smash a like button because I just said the naughty word of J6. So we're now in trouble. Our memo follows DOJ practice. So they lay out admissible evidence, charges, and legal issues. And now they're getting into a summary, right? So this is the summary here of what's in the memo, because I don't want to read the 257 pages of fan fiction. I just want to read what they're arguing. So here's what they're arguing. They're arguing that there's likely sufficient evidence to obtain and sustain a conviction of Trump for his 3-step plan to overturn the election. Okay, so here it is, guys, a 3-step plan. It's sort of like the 21-step or 7-step, like whatever you're trying to. It was a 3-step plan by Trump. And guys, stick with it here in the chat. If the chat bugs, just come back to it. We'll be here. I know it's slowing down. They're messing with us now. They're definitely coming with us. But appreciate y'all hanging with it. All right. So here's the 3-step plan. Step number 1. Trump knew he lost the election, but did not want to give up power. So he worked with his attorneys on a wide variety of schemes to change the outcome. These schemes include creating fraudulent electoral certificates that were submitted to Congress, implicating statutes such as 18 U.S.C. 371, which prohibits conspiracies to defraud the U.S. and the administration of elections. Okay, so let's start with number 1 here. So number 1 says Trump knew he lost. How would anybody knew? Listen, based on the information that we had, particularly the couple weeks around the election, there was reasonable doubt. And you know what? I think we can say this now. I think this is something we can actually say. There's reasonable doubt. By the way, there's no reasonable doubt. There's 616 people in the chat and only 278 likes. So make sure you guys smash that like button. Let's get up to 400 here in the chat. So the first argument is that Trump knew he lost the election. I don't think anybody knew who won that election right away because there was reasonable doubt. The only people that seemed to know, and they seemed to know that Biden won, was mainstream media. Mainstream media seemed to somehow know way ahead of time. They seemed to know before the polls had even closed that Biden had won. They seem to already know that. It's weird that these people take that prediction, right, and those processes, which were being challenged legally, and imply on that and impugn on that knowledge. They still had lawsuits out there at the time. There were still lawsuits pending. So to say knowledge, he knew he lost, I don't think anybody knew what was going on at that point. And certainly, I think you could say there was doubt, at least in the mainstream media. Or sorry, not mainstream media. There was doubt. The mainstream media had no doubt. There was doubt based on the information that most people knew. Most people knew it was a damn close election, and there were some constituencies that, let's just say, they needed to be examined. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I can say on YouTube. And I appreciate you guys smashing the like button. Francis Container says, for you, Andrew, I'd hit it. Thank you. Please hit the like button. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. So that was number one. What's number two? So that was plan number one. So he knew he lost and he changed electoral certificates. Another thing about that. Let me bring up one other point about that. Okay. So Trump knew he lost and he changed the electoral certificates. Aren't the electors allowed to do kind of what they want to do? Isn't that the point of the Electoral College? See, I thought that was kind of the whole system, was that the electors are allowed to, if they feel a certain type of way, to submit their electoral vote how they want to submit it. Now maybe I got to look back more into this. Maybe I got to do more research. Maybe states have pushed that or pushed changes on that in certain levels. But from what I understand, maybe it's state by state. From what I understand, there's some flexibility there. So to imply that is the case in all of these constituencies, I think is a stretch. But I don't know. That one I got to do more research on that one. That one I'm not an expert. I'd probably have to call like Rich Barris or somebody who like is more of a expert on like and not just polling, but kind of the electoral process, and like ask them, hey, look, like at that point, how much discretion do they have? Because I know some of them do have discretion. That being said, let's go to number two. When all other schemes failed. So okay, this is number two. This is number two in terms of the three-step plan. Trump and his lawyers ultimately concentrated on using fake electoral slates to obstruct the constitutionally mandated congressional certification of the election, implicating statutes such as 18 U.S.C. 1512, which prohibits obstruction of an official proceeding. Their primary objective was to have Vice President Mike Pence and his presiding role on that day either block Congress from recognizing Joe Biden's win or at least delay the electoral count. Or at least delay the electoral count. So it was hinging on Pence. Ken says, some states allow electors to vote how they want, and they don't have to follow the vote of the state. But there's a question of if a state could force an elector to vote from X. Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I know some states allow electors to vote how they want, but it should be based on the vote. That being said, okay, so the second one here, the second clause, focuses on our boy, Mikey P. Now, I don't know if you've seen Mikey P lately, but Mikey P has been kind of questionable, particularly when he was interviewed by Tucker Carlson. And when he was asked about the state of failing American cities, he said, that is not my concern. His concern was more tanks, missiles, and bombs for Ukraine so that we can involve ourselves in a fruitless war which profits America zero, zilch, not at all. And that being said, Mikey P. So I think what this implicates is, and what this tells us, is that I think, and let me put this in the chat. I'll put a poll for you guys. Maybe I'm not being fair. Maybe I'm being unreasonable. I think Mike Pence will testify against Trump. So I'll just do a yes no poll because it's going to happen one way or another. Will Pence testify against Trump? I want to know what you guys think about Mikey P. But I think, my predilection is based on them saying this and putting this charge. In order to actually make this one stick, in order to make 18 USC 1512 obstruction of official proceeding, they need Mike Pence to testify to me if they want to prove that, if that's an element, which I believe it will be. Once again, this was written by feds for feds, right? This is by feds for feds, right? Fed posting. This is something I think they need Mikey P for. I think they need Mikey P to come in here and say, nope, Trump was the one who was trying to obstruct here. He was trying to prevent. He was trying to stop Congress from recognizing Joe's win. So far, let's see what we got in the chat. We got 93% saying yes. 93%. 7% of you are still Pence stands. That's okay. I'm not going to judge you. You can hang out in the corner. You can hang out over there. No, it's fine. 93% of you agree with me here. All right. So this is the third step of the plan. So after you get Judas Pence to testify against Trump, that's their big plan for number 2, for proving that in terms of obstructing the official proceeding. So that's their plan there. When Pence refused, Trump went to his last resort. Here we go, guys. Here it is, guys. Triggering the insurrection. Bum, bum, bum. Insurrection time. So they're actually arguing now with this straight face, before we read anything else, they are arguing that Trump actually believed that that J6 was going to overthrow the government, that was going to, shift. It was a coup, an illegitimate coup, that was going to run people out of office. That's going to run off the Capitol Police, run off the National Guard. It's going to be White House down. It's going to be all that. They actually believe that. Okay, cool. Cool story, bro. This would delay the transfer of power for the first time in American history. I would say no. There's been other times when the transfer of power has been delayed. Excuse me. There's also been other times when the transfer of power has been kind of questionable. I think Ulysses S. Grant had a questionable swearing in because he was, high and drunk and, paranoid as hell about the South. So yeah, there were some sketchy things that happened back then. But that being said, they want to implicate 18 USC 2383. As a reminder, that is the one that prohibits insurrection or giving a comfort to insurrectionists. So as we look here, this is the one that they really, really have a hard on for. This is the one that they want to get him for, is rebellion or insurrection. It sounds sexy, right? It sounds sexy. The DOJ will only charge with extreme caution. We believe there's sufficient evidence to pursue it, as a select committee made a criminal referral of Trump under that statute. So what is this saying? This is saying that this is a political prosecution based on the political committee. So now they get into the supposed evidence against Trump. So I want you guys to tell me if you are convinced by this evidence or if you are not convinced by this evidence. By the way, Sean for $4.99 says, neither Trump nor his supporters are capable of getting a fair trial in D.C. Absolutely not. Just like they're not capable of getting a fair trial in Manhattan. I think they're absolutely, in terms of due process, they're being denied that left and right in pretty much every jurisdiction they're stepping into right now. So absolutely. Absolutely. Let's end the Pence poll at 91% think Pence will testify against Trump. So we got a majority of you that believe that. All right. So let's look at the evidence against Trump. So number one, They say, a federal judge has already found by a preponderance of the evidence that Trump and fellow co-conspirator John Eastman likely violated 18 U.S.C. 371 and 1512. Here's the little language here that they don't know. Likely. Likely is not violated. See, they throw these words in here. Likely is not the same as violated. If Trump has not been found guilty of it, then this is very, very close to defamatory. Now, I get that they're probably quoting a judge, but it's dicey. It's dicey. Okay, next. The Select Committee, so that is the political Democrat-led committee, has made criminal referrals of Trump and his co-conspirators to the DOJ under those and other statutes based upon voluminous and persuasive evidence summarized and cited in their report. So yeah, you've got those criminal referrals based on Democrats referring. So that is absolutely 100% politically based. 100%. King of Diet Coke says Trump derangement syndrome should be a real medically diagnosed disease in the DSM. Yes, absolutely. Except for the fact that just gives them another reason to give you the antidepressants. You know, they're looking for any way to peddle and push those pills on you guys. Be very careful. Be very careful about what you put in your body, one way or another. All right, so let's go down here. More evidence, alleged evidence. Subsequent to the report's issuance, the committee released a large body of additional evidence containing information that supports the prosecution, some of which is publicly analyzed for the first time in this model prosecution memo. Evidentiary hurdles faced by the Select Committee have been overcome by Special Counsel Smith through his use of more robust subpoena power and series of court victories. He has now taken testimony from two of the most important witnesses, Mike Pence and the Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, and recently interviewed a third, the lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Well, first of all, it is bullshit for lawyers to be, for the testimony of lawyers to be used in trial ever anywhere. That's something that the ABA and everyone else should stand for as a lawyer. So that's a bullshit. Former White House counsel Pat Cipollone, once again, Trump had such bad luck with the breach of attorney-client privilege. And frankly, it's something that I'm shocked that the ABA hasn't stood up for, which just shows the ABA is a completely politically biased organization. Where's the ABA been on this? Where's the ABA been on these, both Rudy and Cipollone? They haven't been there. His former deputy, Pat Philbin, former White House Chief of Staff, Dan Scavino, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, Senior Advisor Stephen Miller, Director of National Intelligence Ratcliffe, and Secretary Ken Cuccinelli, Nick Luna, John McEnany, and Brad Rasberger. Sperger. Anyways, okay, so they've interviewed a bunch of people. What the hell does that mean? None of this, the fact that you've taken testimony from other people does not mean that Trump is guilty of anything. He's not, the weight of testimony, the number of people that you have called in does not mean guilt. But here's something you got to put out there. And by the way, shout out to Uncivil. I see him in the chat. What's up, Kirk? Good to see you, brother. You're going to watch this in many of the trials. So when you guys, with your trialtism, when you're out there watching these trials, when you try to watch all these feds and these local state attorneys try to prove people guilty, what is a common tactic they try to use? They bring up a shitload, and that is a legal term. That is a legal term. A shitload of witnesses. They try to bring out 1 million witnesses to say, nope, what they did was wrong. Remember Kim Potter? Remember all the use of force? Remember the George Floyd trial, right? All the use of force experts. They try to bury you under the number, but quantity does not equal quality. Now, I know low IQ people will think that quantity means, oh, well, one of them must be right? They're bringing in 16 experts. The defense only has one. That does not matter. If they're all coming in there saying the same bunk theory and the same bullshit, 16 can be just as wrong as one. And frankly, nowadays, there's less people who are willing to speak up for the truth. And if you guys like truth, if you guys like facts, make sure you're smashing the like button right now. 681 of you base Chads and Stacys in the chat. We're almost at 500. We're at 442. So appreciate that as we push on here through the night. All right. So a bipartisan expert consensus has emerged that charges here are merited and likely. Among the first and most persuasive to make the case was U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuaid, who published a model prosecution memo over a year ago on which we build. Okay, so this Trump derangement was going on for at least a year. So these people they were getting it ready, cooking it up for at least a year, at minimum a year. So this shows how long they've been ready for this. They've been getting ready for this. And I said it, by the way, the second they came for him in terms of the documents, when they came for those security documents, those national security documents at Mar-a-Lago, they were gearing up for more. They were gearing up for the kitchen sink approach. And this is what I feared. And by the way, guys, if you think these are the last charges against Trump, you haven't seen nothing yet. You have not seen anything yet. They're going to continue to bring more and more charges against Trump to make him seem as guilty and culpable as possible. And once again, why do they have to bring these during an election cycle? Why does it have to be now? Why does it have to be right now? No reason for that at all whatsoever, except for political prosecution. Next, a series of rare convictions of some of the leading insurrectionists, and hopefully Radix can pop on. I know I sent her a little message. So hopefully she can pop on a little bit later. But I know she's been covering the J6 situation. So to call them insurrectionists guilty of seditious conspiracy, I think it's very, very suspect. And a lot of those people are beginning to speak up and fight back now. I'll just say that. So that J6 is not the case closed scenario that the leftists want it to be. They want it to be case closed. But yeah, it's exactly right what Laud said. Nobody from J6 was found guilty of insurrection. They just call them insurrectionists. But frankly, I hope that these people, just security here, is hit with defamation because they are not insurrectionists. Unless you have been convicted of insurrection, you're not an insurrectionist. That should be per se defamation, defamatory. These people need to answer for their bullshit. Just saying. And I'm also just saying that this canned whiskey is rather good for a canned whiskey. I'm just going to say, canned whiskey highball. It's pretty solid. Big love for that. Big love for that. All right. Suntory is doing a good job. All right. The DOJ is now, or likely will be, assessing possible 2020 election interference charges. We know they are. So this was put out, guys, this was put out days, like I'm talking 4 days ago. So this is something that they knew they had an in on and they knew this was coming. So this is why I think these are the charges. This is the memo right here. And I'm going to go through some of after we go through this summary, I'll go through how they lay out the memo and some of the structures, because I think we can at least go through the structure without going through all 250 pages. So the analysis builds on the select committee hearings. Well, once again, the select committee hearings were biased. So building on that will be building on a flawed recommendation, or like flawed structure. And I think this is what I want to get. Yeah, so let me just move over to the actual memo and how it structures things. So let's just look at what they call facts, what the feds call facts. So part one, because once again, they have a three-part, their whole theory of the case is that this is a three-part thing in which all parts were criminal, right? All parts were criminal. So part A, part B, and part C. All of them were criminal. And they need to prove that because they need to, once again, throw all these different types of criminal charges at Trump. So what they try to do here is they try to say, okay, Trump rejects the truth and embraces schemes. So he spreads election lies. How? By tweeting? By legally challenging elections? By filing court cases? None of that is illegal. Weaponizing the DOJ. You know how much projection is it that Democrats would put as a criminal charge weaponizing the DOJ. Do you guys see this shit? Weaponizing the DOJ. That is a criminal fact they're putting. Are you fucking kidding me? That cannot be the bigger case of projection. As Torgo says, my good homie Torgo, confession by projection right there. Weaponizing the DOJ. Are you kidding me? Pressuring state officials. No. False electoral slates. Once again, this gets into the electoral law, which I have to look more into, and I will look more into on this because I do want to cover this a little bit more closely. But from what I understand, there's nothing about what he did, particularly what he would do directly or say them to do, that was outside their legal bounds as electors. Electors have discretion, so exercising that discretion is something they can do, as far as I know. I'll have to look a little bit more deeply into that, but as far as I know, that in and of itself would not be a scheme to interfere with the election. Hunch says for 5, first it's canned, flavored whiskey. Next it's going to be Ladyboys. Ben was right. Thailand gets in the blood. Thank you so much. Shout out to my good friend Ben from Integrity Legal. He's sleeping right now. Guys, I have a stream in literally 9 hours for Bangkok Bros. If you guys haven't subscribed to my other channel, Bangkok Bros, which is me and my good friend Ben from Integrity Legal, we're going to have a nice stream tomorrow on the southern border and talk immigration law. But right now we're talking Trump. Right now we're talking Trump. And I know Danielle will post the link for Bangkok Bros in the chat if you guys want to check that out. All right, next. Act 2, pressuring the vice president to refuse to count electoral votes. Okay, so Act 2 is pretty much Pence being butthurt. Pence being butthurt. That's Act 2. Once again, that is not criminal. There's nothing criminal about Pence being butthurt about being asked to do his job. The vice president has 2 jobs. The vice president literally has 2 jobs. One, to break any ties, right, to be a tiebreaker, and 2, to certify the vote. It's like telling him, do your fucking job. Like, certifying the vote means doing due diligence to certify the vote. So saying that he should be doing his job is, I don't think there's a problem. And one of the facts, and I literally looked this up in the memo. This is so hilarious. But Pence is mad because he got called the P word. The P word. Which I hadn't heard before. I guess it was pussy. Trump called Pence a pussy. And this is apparently criminal behavior. Apparently being called a pussy is criminal behavior. Act 3. Summoning a violent mob and doing nothing to disperse it. So the accusation here is that Trump is like a D&D summoner. He's playing Final Fantasy here. And he's summoning Ifrit, except Ifrit is wearing a MAGA hat. And Shiva is a trad wife. Okay, if any of you got that really dorky Final Fantasy reference, you're my people. Anyways, that Trump was the one that created this and organized this. Of course, dude, of course. Trump was not the main organizer here. Of course, Trump was not the one who put everything together. You can say, people laugh, Donald the Mage, Final Fantasy VII, yeah, boy, the original. I want my busty Tifa. I do not want Tifa's tatas censored. I want it to be like the Italian Parliament. Red Mage exercise said, you'd activated my trap card. I'd wife Shiva. Yes, very much. Very much funny. All right. Enough nerding out. It made nerding out. All right. The roots of insurrection. So they were asking legitimately trying to take over the country. Right? And that's what the argument has to be here, because that's what the definition of rebellion and insurrection is. That there was a legitimate chance, a real belief, that they could overthrow the U.S. government. An actual belief. Okay, Talk. Okay, you're right about the remake and the blue dress. Okay, all right. I thought the original was better, but that being said, okay, I give you the blue dress. So all right, here's the crimes they're trying to push him with. 18 USC 371 and 1001, conspiracy to submit fabricated electoral slates. So you have to knowing a document was false, make a statement and submit it as an election document. Did Donald Trump himself do that? No. Now, maybe you're going to get somebody down the line or an elector that did that, but trying to say, oh, it's a conspiracy and Donald Trump told him to do it, yeah, I don't think that's going to stick. Conspiracy to defraud the United States. So they say, okay, they used dishonest means. They knew he lost an election. They had a conspiracy to defraud the United States. Once again, going to be hard to prove there. The scheme to obstruct the counting of the presidential electors. This is the Pence butthurt charge. So 18 USC 1512 is the Pence butthurt charge, which pretty much says that, hey, you're acting with corrupt purpose to obstruct, influence, or impede an official proceeding. No, he's telling him to do his fucking job. There's nothing wrong with telling Pence, do your fucking job. Nothing wrong. By the way, guys, I know that cursing is naughty for YouTube. So just want to throw that out there. And then C, insurrection, giving aid or comfort to insurrectionists. So insurrection, they're saying that the insurrectionists were incited by Trump. That Trump's words, his tweets, once again, we're going back to this. We're going back to this argument, which has been thoroughly debunked, that his tweets were enough to lead the mob to overthrow America. Yeah, come on. Not believing that. See, here we go. His speech fulfilled part 1 of the Brandenburg test. Oh no, they are actually going there and using the Brandenburg test. So they're saying it fulfilled the Brandenburg test because it encouraged the imminent use of violence or lawless action. And he subjectively intended that his speech would result in violence or lawless actions. And his words were likely to produce imminent lawless action against the United States. If this passes the Brandenburg test, anything will pass the Brandenburg test. Then we're all fucked. This would be moving the yard post so far on Brandenburg. It's ridiculous. By the way, who did he tell them to go get? Who did he tell them to hurt? Specifically, the Brandenburg test requires you say, go out there and get that dude now. Right now, get that dude, destroy that, wreck that. When did he say that? No one. No person, no individual, no building. Brandenburg was a case, Brandenburg versus Ohio, is a case where the freaking Klan couldn't be convicted. The Klan. Come on now. By the way, guys, this is stuff they don't want you to hear. So make sure you please smash the like button. We're at 500. So if we get a 550, let's give it a 550 and I will shut up about it. Also, thank you so much here, Patrick Kennedy in the chat, my homeboy, for donating 5 Legal Mindset memberships, the most base chat out there. Patrick Kennedy, we're going to be all having Legal Mindship memberships as we head to the gulag. As Patrick says, hi ho, it's off to the gulag we go. No, but seriously, thank you so much, Patrick. Appreciate you, homeboy. Appreciate you for all you do for the channel, for hanging out, for being a G. Senpai notices you. Speaking of which, Nick Naylor says, small jugs, best jugs. Tifa looks like a reverse hunchback. Matter of opinion, bro. Matter of opinion. I mean, fit isn't a problem, but hey, listen, we can do Tifa streaming on another time. I have to have another anime stream. I know Brandon, the anime guy, I'm going to be on his channel very soon in the future. I had some internet issues last time, so couldn't make it on his channel, but I'll be on his channel. Going to do another anime stream here for sure. But that's separate, guys. It's separate. But what do you guys think about this? And I want to really get this from you guys in the chat here today. Do you think any of these charges can stick? So can any of the Trump insurrection charges stick? I want to know what you guys think. It's a yes or no question. Real simple. Do you guys think they can stick? Can you not stick? Come on. And yes, Senpai always notices you guys. You know that. Senpai's a man of the chat. Also a man of locals, which I will, I'll read some stuff over here. This calls for a drinking game. Oh no, there's a lot of drinking games we can have with these memos. If we read that, it's like every time it says Donald Trump tweeted, take a shot. That would be, you'd be drunk. You'd be 100% drunk. Let's see. This is an article. Yeah. Notcase says the interesting thing is on locals. Notcase says the interesting thing about Trump's statement regarding this and where he mentions Garland, who I turned down for the Supreme Court, in retrospect, based on his corrupt and unethical actions, a very wise decision. Fortunately, sounds like Trump considered nominating Garland in the first place. Well, yeah, but it was a good thing that he did not go with Garland. Garland would have been absolutely a horrible choice. And you would have seen what would have happened. How many decisions would have been screwed over because of Merrick Garland? Many. Absolutely many. Natasha says, can't Brandenburg test be used against Heels Up Harris? I think she incited some of the violence of the BLM movement. Absolutely. And there were lots of folks that went out there and said, we need to get violent. We need to get confrontation. We need to get in the streets. That was absolutely something that they did. 100%. So why weren't those people brought up on insurrection? They weren't. Didn't happen. King of Diet Coke says, I think he can get convicted, but the Supreme Court may vindicate. Well, if they get him on one, they actually will automatically, I think if they convict him on one of these charges, I think it automatically will go to the Supreme Court. Here's why. It's because they're going to need to litigate that phrase that the Democrats are so interested in, which is cannot hold office. That language about not holding an office, yeah, that's something that would be triggered pretty much right away. So they'd have to bring that to the Supreme Court. They'd have to put that all the way up to the top. So yeah, I think the Supreme Court would come through on that. I do think the Supreme Court would come through on that and back him up there. According to the poll, do any of the Trump insurrection charges stick? 25% say yes, and 75% say no, they don't stick. I think there's enough that they may have one that they will, once again, by burden of, hey, we're putting enough charges in here, a dumb jury could make it stick, particularly in DC. This is what you have to factor in. In a just jury would never have it stick. But a DC jury, anything is possible, right? Yeah, like Mike said, it only sticks because it's DC. It's possible. It's very possible. That's what I'm concerned about. Comment here from PE. In DC, charges can stick even in the absence of facts from your law class. Hey, Pete, you're very true on that. By the way, I'll be having another law class. Which will be happening in September. And if you want a YouTube class from me, which is still up and still available, my YouTube class, which I'm going to do some more webinars for very shortly as well. But my YouTube class is up if you guys want to catch my YouTube Hustle Mastery. It's available on YouTube, hustlemastery.com. You guys can check that out and get in here and be a YouTube grifter like all the best lawyers in the world, like Joe Neerman, like Uncivil Law, like Nick Rekieta. Just check out my YouTube course, which I will help you out. And also, now I'm going to talk about how to set up a podcast studio because I've done that now, so I can tell you how to do that. So we'll talk about that as well in that course. That being said, guys, that's what I had for this review today. I was not planning to go too long on this. Was not planning to run too late on this one because I have to wake up literally in 7.5 hours to get on for Bangkok Bros for my other stream. If you guys haven't seen that, go check out Bangkok Bros. We are going to be having lovely ladies in, and we're going to have some more interaction with the ladies this week. It should be very, very, very interesting. How we kind of try to interact a little bit more with them, but also, also continue to cover legal news. It's legal news with ladies, and we're going live tomorrow at 10 a.m. my time, which is indeed, I think it's going to be 10 or 11 p.m. for you guys. So check it out. We got the ladies, same ladies from last time in. We'll have new ladies on Sunday. So check that out. I'll be on for that one. Until then, guys, seriously, love you all. Locals live chat. I may go over there and do a locals live stream for a bit. But anyways, check that out, guys. Catch you later. Peace.